Boxing truth here. A lot of talk about pay-per-view numbers, if it's good or bad, what the actual number that is interpreted as success for a pay-per-view, what's the actual number needed. So I figured I'd talk about this because a lot of fans are interested in this topic. It's fun to talk about the money, business side of boxing. I mean, I'm interested in the business side of the sport because, to me, it impacts a lot of what goes on in the sport. The business aspect, the money aspect of the boxing, pretty much determines what fights are going to be made and what fights are not going to be made. So you're not going to be hearing me talk about imaginary matchups. You're not going to be hearing me talk about fights that I feel like have a slim chance of happening because I'm a realist. So, boxing is a business, is a money-driven sport, and fights get made when it makes the most financial sense, especially against top-level guys. And there's a lot of talk about Canelo's pay-per-view numbers, whether they're good or bad. What does it mean for the pay-per-view market in the United States? And here's my take on it, my 2 cents about it. It's been reported that Canelo did around 250, 300K. Well, that's been what's been reported from a number of writers, also some insiders. They've all reported around the same type of number, at least over 200K buys. So if it's true what Canelo did, 250 to 300K in his last pay-per-view fight against Liam Smith, honestly, those are decent numbers, considering he was fighting a no-name guy with no-name recognition, a paper champion that provided no intrigue for American fight fans to buy the pay-per-view. But when it comes to pay-per-view numbers, you have to go by how much the event costs, how much the promoter has to pay the main event fighters in order for it to determine whether it's a success or not. Now, you don't have to be a boxing insider to know how the pay-per-view market works. There's been plenty of articles published about this topic from people on the inside, people that have been involved in the pay-per-view business, people that are connected. There's been plenty of stuff written about this, and you can pretty much, learn for yourself how it works. So you're not out on boxing Twitter looking like an idiot trying to tell people who are actually involved in the sport and know what they're doing how the pay-per-view market works. So pay-per-view buys, when it comes to success, is determined how much you have to pay the main event fighters. So, of course, we have to go by the commission reports of where the fighters fight. In this case, Canelo fought in Texas. So, of course, the commission report is that was released by certain writers and people within boxing. The commission report released that Canelo's base pay was $3.5 million. That was his guaranteed fight night purse. Of course, you can't take it like gospel. It's only an estimate to how much he makes. We truly don't know how much fighters make. There's other income streams that fighters get. There's sponsors. There's international television deals. There's also pay-per-view upside. And in this case for Canelo, there was pay-per-view upside, because I'm pretty sure they gave Liam Smith a flat fee. Now, I couldn't find what Liam Smith made for the fight. To me, it's a mystery what he made. I think it was reported, but I can't find it for some reason. But I'm pretty sure it was less than what Canelo's base pay which was $3.5 million. Liam probably got around most 7 figures, most likely. But of course, he has other income streams, like his television deal with Box Nation. So we truly won't know. We'll never know how much he truly got for the fight, because he has other income streams. Just like we pretty much will never know what Canelo really got for the fight. because he has other income streams. It's only we can only go by the commission reports of what the guaranteed fight night purses they release for the fighters. So if you add up Canelo's base pay and whatever Liam Smith got, which is probably not much, which is less than Canelo's and around the 7-figure range. So the promoters had to pay around $5 to $6 million in guaranteed fight night purses for the fight between Canelo Alvarez and Liam Smith. All you gotta do is the math. And now if it did 250K buys, that is the estimate. The pay-per-view was around $64.95. Okay, we rounded off to 60. 250,000 times 60. That's around $14 million in pay-per-view revenue. Half of it goes to the cable company, so you cut it in half. So you're left with $7 million. So that pretty much covers the costs of what the actual event costs. You pay the main event fighters, you pay the undercard fighters. That covers the cost. Plus they received a $7 million gate as well. So that's $14 million in revenue. Plus you have to add in the site fee that Jerry Jones paid to host the fight, whatever that is. You add that in. Plus the international rights fees, television fees, you have to add that in. So you add it all up. If they did 250K buys, it's not a home run, it's not a slam dunk, but they turned in a profit. And Canelo most likely got a very good payday, maybe even close to 8 figures, to fight a no-name paper champion in Liam Smith in a pay-per-view showcase fight. Now, what does it mean for the pay-per-view industry in the U.S.? Nothing. I mean, Canelo was fighting a guy that brought no intrigue to the fight, especially for American fight fans, because they didn't know who the hell Liam Smith is. That's what pay-per-view fights need. You need intrigue behind these fights for people to buy them. If there's no intrigue, then you're going to be doing these type of numbers that Canelo's doing, which is in line with what he's been doing when he's fighting guys that have no name recognition. But if he fights Golovkin, there's plenty of intrigue in that fight. There's really no... I really think that fight has a great chance to do 1 million buys, which is why there's trouble in the preliminary negotiations between those two fighters, because Tom Lawford and Golovkin's team, they don't feel that they're the complete B-side to Canelo. They feel this fight could generate over $50 million at least. So to take a $10 million or 8-figure, whatever the deal is, at least 8 figures that's been offered to Golovkin, it's pretty foolish considering how much money this fight can generate. It can generate maybe at least $50 million, considering. So, of course, Golovkin's team are going to argue for a percentage split because they feel this fight can make a lot of money. And they don't feel they're the complete B-side. So they're not going to take a flat fee, because flat fees are for fighters that are complete B-sides. Which is why Robert Guerrero, Marcos Maidana, Victor Ortiz were given flat fees to fight Floyd Mayweather, because they were the clear B-sides to Mayweather. But when Mayweather fought Canelo, when he fought Cotto, when he fought Pacquiao, he had to pay a lot more to those guys because those guys weren't clear B-sides. Those guys brought something to the table. This is the same situation. Golovkin brings something to the table to make this fight really big. But when it comes to pay-per-view numbers, it all depends on how much you have to pay the main event fighters. And the reality is, a lot of promoters will love, every promoter in the U.S. will love to have at least one fighter in the U.S. that could average 200,000 pay-per-view buys, because that is millions of dollars of added revenue to the bottom line. That's how promoters make money nowadays, the pay-per-view market. That's why Eddie Hearn puts a shitload of pay-per-view fights, because that's how he makes money, and that's how he gets top-level fighters to step up to fight one another, because you need a lot of money in the pot for these fighters to step up and take the fights. The premium networks, they just don't provide the type of license fees for top-level guys to fight each other. This ain't 1999 or early 2000s anymore, where guys like Roy Jones, Felix Trinidad, De La Hoya, and Prince Nassim Hamed, and Floyd Mayweather at the time were making multi-million-dollar purses to fight on regular HBO. Those days are long gone. The premium networks are not providing those type of license fees no more, so pay-per-view has been a necessary evil. And unfortunately, we're going to get some pay-per-view showcases. That's been the bad thing about pay-per-view. I mean, they really should be for the most intriguing super fights, but if you can sell 200, 300,000 K buys, shit, I will put my fighter on pay-per-view every single time. I wouldn't even want to take a license fee, because that's millions of dollars of added revenue if I can get my fighter to get 250,000 pay-per-view buys at $60 a pop. It's decent business. It's much more money than what I'm going to get from a regular HBO license fee, so why not? Even if it is a showcase, if I can get 250, I'm going to do it. So I can't knock the promoters for trying to make that money. But it's going to be interesting to see who the hell Canelo's going to fight next. If he's going to want more successful pay-per-view numbers. I mean, Golden Boy didn't hit a home run with this fight, but they turned in a profit, and I'm pretty sure they're satisfied if the numbers are actually true of what Canelo generated for his last pay-per-view. This is Boxing Truth. I'm out.